The changes we put in from 14 months ago certainly helped again to reduce the length of the problem that we had this morning. And as I say, thankfully, those types of processes will enable us to be back up and running as soon as the agencies release us later today to be operational again.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Technology Minerals Chairman Robin Brundle. Robin, very good morning. There's been an incident at Recyclers Group's plant in Wolverhampton. What can you tell us about it?
Yes, good morning, Stephen. Yes, just after midnight last night, there was an isolated fire at Recyclers' Laibach plant in Wolverhampton. Fire engines arrived promptly on the scene and the fire was quickly contained. Also, the company's fire safety management protocols worked successfully, as confirmed by the emergency services. And the plant will be reopened later today after full consultation with the appropriate agencies. The fire broke out in a goods inwards building and was contained within one of the 7 goods inwards bays that we have. And they're bays that we store the batteries for a short period of time prior to going to the processing line. It's a completely separate building to the recycling plant and office block and so on. And there was no damage to the other 6 bays in the building. More importantly, obviously nobody was hurt and no other buildings or plants have been affected, as I said. And from an ESG point of view, the burnt material will be processed through our recycling plant so that no materials are wasted or sent to landfill.
Robin, I presume this is one of the risks of handling lithium batteries.
Yes, it is. And, we read in the media about lithium-ion battery fires almost on a daily basis. So for us, and the lessons learned since we had our last fire like this 14 months ago, where we sit down, we look at lessons learned, we make change. And in all of this time, we've been sort of cutting edge with this learning and working hand in glove with the fire service. And we will do the same again with this event. But yes, these events generally can happen anywhere around the UK at any time. And so for us, it's about how do you reduce that risk? How can we mitigate it? And in the event that we get the occasional flare up like this, how do we contain it and deal with it? And, equally important is the harm to the environment. So the buildings where these events could take place are all bunded. So the water that was used in squashing this fire has all been collected in a special sump at the bottom of the building, and that will be dealt with accordingly. So it's all about learning. It's about implementing the changes we put in from 14 months ago. Certainly helped again to reduce the length of the problem that we had this morning. And as I say, thankfully, those types of processes will enable us to be back up and running as soon as the agencies release us later today to be operational again.
Okay, so no disruption to business then, Robin?
No, the power's back on as we speak, for example. And I think the fire service have had their shift change at 9 o'clock. So they're decanting some of the crew. Often there can be quite a few crews arrive to these type events because they want to also use it as a teaching exercise for any of the fire services crew that haven't been involved in a lithium-ion fire before. So we do work hand in glove with them. It's under control, and as I say, power back on. We've got some of our staff back in the site. And as soon as they release us, the production plant will be up and running again in its separate building.
Robin, thank you very much for the update this morning.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
That's Technology Minerals Chairman Robin Brundle.